connect the community even more for pedestrian activity. So I'm not going to go through each individual one. You guys have the document in front of you. So at this point, I really just want to open it up to questions. And just if you have any specific questions about specific projects or about how some of the projects have been addressed, just kind of want to open it up to discussion. Well, in that case.
Where do we go from here?
Well, okay, so from here, for a document like this, it's not like you guys are going to approve to just build the whole thing tonight, or maybe never. The way to approach it now is the city should consider adopting this plan as an approved document by the city council, that the projects in it are projects that could be slated for either grant funding or funding coming from the lake to build. It's not like a hard cut decision that the HEAL Council would like you guys to make. It's more of an adoption. So by doing that, also I think, I don't know if this is getting outside of my scope of work for the project, but from my familiarity of kind of how we'd like to see it happen is Jason could take this document off the shelf if there's some funding and take a project out, come to you guys and say, here, let's do this. As simple as that, which I know it's not that simple, but.
I think in terms of HEAL, our recommendation and just formal structure, Kent, is Planning Commission, the way that our structure works, would have to recommend this to you to adopt as a formal document. And then what we would like to see it used for in years to come is how we pair this together with things that are naturally happening in the community. What roadways are we looking at retreating? What things are getting changed in terms of our development? And what grant funding out there is also available to apply as we go through. So truly want you guys to view it as a working document, a planning document, when you're going into work session every year, every summer, and you're looking at things slated as priorities. Let's get this document out. Let's look at what matches and may not match. In terms of the HEAL Council, we're setting up a grant resource calendar to watch and see what funding streams come every year. So we'll be bringing recommendations to the Planning Commission and you about potential funds that could match and align with these projects as well.
Just to give you guys another way of looking at it, you're familiar with the Safe Routes to Schools project, and that is funding coming from the Alternative Transportation Department of KDOT. And when KDOT was here for a site visit on our Phase 2B application a month ago or something, somewhere in that realm, I had the opportunity to sit down with the second in command of the Alternative Transportation Department and go through this document with him, get his feedback on it, get his okay in the sense that KDOT would sign off on that stuff, or at least be a part of the development of projects that are in their jurisdiction. And then he also let me know about a part of the alternative transportation funding that actually goes towards the trails part of this document. We have the opportunity to do the same grant funding process for the trails development as we do for the sidewalks that go to our schools. So what we'd like to see is this trail development be an annual application into this alternative transportation grant funding so that we can actually start to see this come into realization. And it's a very real thing, as you see with the Safe Routes to School. We're the type of community that fits the mold, and it's the same thing when it comes to this type of funding. So that may be encouragement to you all to look at this as something that can actually happen, because there's millions of dollars available for the alternative transportation type development.
I think the other thing that was really important for the committee too in this, the mission of ours was how can it be cohesive, you know, so you can do pieces, but yet at some point it'll work together. You know, obviously we can't do it all at one time, but, you know, this way we have a plan, so we're not just putting something out there and building it, and then all of a sudden like, man, I wish we would've built that over a block over. You know, it's something that it has a destination, and it works together so that you can do it a piece at a time. And then the other thing I would say too is, you know, like Jesse said, just because it's on here or it's routed a certain way, doesn't necessarily mean that's where it'll end up. You know, this, even the design of it, the materials, I think, once we were to pull a project off the shelf, that's kind of when the debate about that project would get a little more heavy in the design and the actual cost. You know, this is kind of more, this is what we think it looks like and about the cost. So as we're looking for projects that might fit a certain opportunity, that we kind of have an idea, but it's kind of, like I said, it's a living document.
Also, as we make improvements, we would, hope that we would be able to consider some of these as well. If we're doing a road improvement project that may not necessarily tie directly to this, we might want to put consideration in for what some of the future ideas are, as far as if there's a sidewalk that would make sense in the area or something tied into that. So, basically, right, basically just looking forward continuously and not just, oh shoot, we should have thought about that 5 years ago when we built this. We actually already have thought about it. Here's our recommendation to incorporate that into what you're working on, or we are working on. It's been a lot of fun being part of the Hill Committee, to be honest. It's a lot of good discussions and a lot of good ideas being put out.
And something we talked about too, some public engagement side of it. I know that.
Yeah, so of course, we want this to be transparent to the public, just like we're coming to you, and make them understand that it's not about the big numbers and all of this happening tomorrow, because we don't want any of that pressure or weight put on your guys' shoulders or the Hill Committee or Planning Commission. It's about getting them to understand the idea of how we look to the future and how we build to the future through slow growth and through plans like this and connecting it to funders. So HEAL Council, along with AWARE, has every intention in supporting those efforts to gain public engagement in different ways, taking it in storyboards that could be formatted out that people could see here in the city offices, trying to hit the younger generation and having an open meeting maybe at the Kettle and airing that on Facebook so that people really understand what the document is and what it's for, and how they're a part of it and they're connected to it, and it excites them about where they live and work and play and what the future could look like.
I think the real big thing, another thing I learned at the conference too, I thought was really good, they talked about the aging population of all Midwestern states, Kansas as well. And I think the really cool idea behind this and kind of a theme is that this is built for all residents. We want to be a community for all people, all age demographics and stages of life. And I think that this is very much not just a, for the young crowd or college kid. This is, I think, for something that's going to be great for anybody at any stage of their life to have a safe place to enjoy the community and get out. So.
And I don't know if everyone's made it to the last 2 pages of it, or I guess the second to last 2 pages, but there are some projects that $6,500 can make a substantial improvement to a bicycle path, for example. Or on the flip side, you can even go over $1 million with some of these improvements. There's a very wide range of scope of what you can plug in. And as we met with the CIP process, I mean, these are where that $6.4 million approximately, I think is what the total is. That's what these all make up. And again, like Jason said, a lot of these could be dropped in as we find openings in, like we did with Court Street. We have a project here that makes sense to do with the city funding.
Yeah.
That could be taken off the table.
Jason,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at page 17 right here, that little map of Oklahoma for a regional trail system. And it's talking about kind of merging a trail with the right-of-way of the water pipeline connecting to the, like we've been kind of talking. And I was wondering, is there a way to use some of the trail funding to offset some of the costs for putting in a pipeline that's going to be going in there?
I don't, I
Not
couldn't,
commingled, but commingled.
yeah, I couldn't think, yeah, but I know that, like in the drainage realm, Stuart would probably be the better one to talk to this, but there is stuff like that that happens. I don't know, wouldn't pay for, if it's a $4 million pipeline, wouldn't pay for that, but, at
But
least.
like leveling.
Exactly, that's might be, you can kind of piggyback that on there, but, in the end, you're still gonna have to spend more money because you're putting a trail in it. It was just more the idea that as if, and again, I don't want this to, an idea is if you're putting in the pipeline requirements right away, it'd be pretty cool just to be able to keep it so that eventually you can walk it or bike it back and forth, but the economics part of it, yeah, there might be some opportunity there, but.
And yeah, there is. I mean, when you look at your Main Street project and you look at how much went into the finishing touches, and you think about putting in a pipeline, and like you say, you cover it up, just to put it in general terms, but then you just have a rough pile of dirt for 10 miles. And you imagine there, from that point on, if you transfer to a different project or a different funding source to finish it off, there you'd be, saving.
So, again, that's a real big, I don't want the takeaway to be that, oh, we're gonna build a trail to work on. I mean, there's a lot more, this is just kind of the big dream thing of why you plan for that stuff, so if there is an opportunity for it, then it might be kind of cool. I mean, that's a pretty big differentiator that you might be able to piggyback on a pretty big project to draw people to this area. I mean, not a whole lot of that type of thing in this type of size town.
And I do know that KDHE looks at those type of synergies, you might call them, in a really positive way, and it's gonna catch their eye if it's incorporated into a plan to do a recreation trail. Because KDHE, their overall goal isn't just to provide good water to everybody, they're out there to make everybody healthier. And so, that may seem sort of like happy, fuzzy, feely stuff, but it's actually very legitimate.
And I know the plan didn't lay out yet, but wouldn't that cause some problems with easements? Because it looks like that could be going right through the middle of the field.
Yeah.
People aren't gonna be real excited about it, people go through the middle of the field.
Yeah, well, we don't even know where it's going.
Yeah,
It's just an idea.
Around it. But what's presented here, yeah, it looks like you're going through.
Well, in years past, they've talked about kind of piggybacking off the engineering that was already done on the railroad. So they
Yeah.
have a pipeline.
That's kind of
Last
what.
I talked to Stuart, he was totally opposed to that, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was.
Yeah, exactly. It would only be there if it would make sense. Yeah, if you're doing it where it's right through their field or farming it, yeah, it's not gonna make sense. But if it's next to a roadway or a railroad or something, you might be able to it might make sense. But yeah, it's not gonna make sense.
I know we're always.
Yeah. That's all right.
Good job.
Thank you.
Looks nice.
Well, at this point, the planning commission is reviewing the document also. And just to give you guys sort of like where I'm standing, we have a third member joining. And so, because I want to relinquish myself from any, what's the technical term? Conflict of interest. I'll be abstaining my vote because I'm on the planning commission. And so, we're getting our third member at a good time where we actually can have a legitimate vote. Hopefully, they'll be making a recommendation to you guys to adopt this plan at your next month. Next week.
Okay. Any other questions for him? Thank you for coming and presenting tonight. Very interesting project. I'm sure Jason will keep it in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite part of the document is definitely I think page 8 and 9, it just goes through all that was the funnest part of the Southern one. Andrew, you were there too. That was the funnest part of it, was just kind of figuring out where things are at and how it's connected and businesses, and Jesse did a really good job using, 8 different types of shots of Beloit and how it all came together. So there's definitely a lot of thought that went into behind why things are in a certain spot or near a certain spot.
I think connections is a very good word
Yeah.
to use with this project.
Yeah, I was able to work with Clint Offit, who is the county GIS, what's his technical name? But he provided a lot of the GIS information that I was able to work with this and develop these maps. So we had a lot of people just kind of doing a lot of different things at different points, and it's really been a culmination of,
Yeah.
I mean, 100+ community members to get to this point, so.
Yeah, we even had somebody from the county, Commissioner Cooper was here at several of our meetings to get his feedback. It's good.
The Oak Council is made up of a very nice broad spectrum of individuals from some really key stakeholders in the community. And so I feel like that's one of the reasons we've one of the reasons we've been really progressive, able to make some swift moves.
Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is the CIP material.
They're not on your table, but they're about to be.